Cats are funny. Suddenly I want to be evil. I'll burn down the orphanage. No, then the fire department would stop the fire, and the police would come after me. Perhaps I could slay the neighbor. No, he's got a gun. And even if I did it, the police would come after me again. Damn! It's so hard to be evil in a world with police. Unless you're rich, which I'm not. But the police can't get me for being evil in a video game. I could use cheats in an online game and ruin the fun for everybody! No. I want to be evil, not pathetic. Oh, I know just the game. Overlord. Yep, there it is. Overlord. I love this game. It plays kinda like Pikmin, but instead of being a tiny spaceman commanding an army of vegetables, you're an evil tyrant commanding an army of goblins. The very first thing you see is the minions. No, not that kind of minions. These ones, they're better. They fight. They kill. They die for you. And there's Gnarl. He gives you guidance on how to be the best evil you could possibly be. The minions pull you out of a sarcophagus, slap some heavy armor on you, and boom! Evil Overlord. Being the Overlord, you need to go forth and conquer the land and get your Dark Tower fixed up. A band of heroes came in, killed your predecessor, and made a mess of the place. And the first order of business is to get back the Tower Heart, the source of an Overlord's power, and his primary mode of transportation. Once it's back, you can use it to teleport to any active tower gate, and it gives you access to magic, namely the Fireball spell. That's all you have until you find other spells lying around and bring them back to the tower, along with other things that make yourself more powerful. There are things that give you more health, more mana, and can raise the cap on how many minions you have at any given time. The Tower Heart also shows you how many minions you have on hand and your corruption level, which is just a percentage of the nefarious deeds you've done, like slaughtering the innocent, stealing their food, and wrecking their houses. Corruption level doesn't change anything substantial, it just slightly changes your appearance by giving you little spiky spikes on your shoulders. And at higher levels, you get bigger spikes and an evil haze coming out of you. It also gives your tower a more hellish atmosphere. I don't remember having rivers of lava and screams of the damned in the backyard. The minions are your most valuable asset. You need them for just about everything. You can sacrifice them for a quick heal in desperate situations. They do a lot of the fighting for you, so you need to be smart about how you use them. If you send them in without thinking, they'll all die, leaving you to fend for yourself. They bring you treasure. They turn wheels to open gates. They carry everything back to the tower. Did you think you'd have to carry it yourself? You're the Overlord! You don't carry heavy things. You make others do it for you. You don't just get an endless supply of minions. You need to build your army by gathering life force from dead creatures. Every time you see a sheep, kill it. They drop life force. Each orb is a new soldier in your evil army. And naturally, the better equipped they are, the better they fight. Just send them or sweep them over random equipment lying on the ground, and they'll automatically pick it up if it's better than what they already have. There are different kinds of minions too. You have the Browns to start with. They are the toughest and strongest of all the minion types, the bulk of your fighting force. Then there's the red minions. They're immune to fire. You need them to clear flaming roadblocks, but they're not cut out for close-range combat. They die very fast, but they have a powerful ranged attack. The green minions are immune to poison, so they're needed to destroy poison-spewing plants that block your path. They can handle themselves in a fight and are especially useful on larger enemies. They latch onto them and start stabbing hard. And finally, there's the blue minions. They are the only minions that can swim, and they know a thing or two about magic, meaning they can harm magical creatures like wisps or the ghost elves of Evernight Forest. But when it comes to physical threats like most other enemies, they're pretty useless. But it's a good idea to keep them around because they can revive fallen minions, provided they die leaving a body to be revived. Some enemies will eat your minions or just obliterate them entirely. And obviously you'll need different colored life force for each minion. Brown can be found very easily. Over in the Cemetery of Heaven's Peak, you can find a field full of flaming beetles, a great source for red life force. There are green beetles all over Evernight Forest for the greens, and the swamp in Evernight is full of frogs for blue life force. With each minion type, you have to clear a sort of tutorial dungeon to get their hive back to the tower. And make sure you have the right minion type selected for the job. You can see which one you got up in the corner, and if that's not enough, you can hear Gnarl's voice telling you, but don't rapidly switch types. It doesn't break the game or anything, it's just annoying.
Brown, greens, blue, brown, blue, choose all.
As for controlling the minions, you can sweep them, manually controlling where they go, and they'll automatically lock onto enemies and objects to attack or interact with. Sending them, they move faster and one at a time, and you can set a guard marker. They'll hold that position and attack anything that comes within range. Minion use is the name of the game. Well, actually it's Overlord, but the point is, use them well and you'll go far. Blow them all up and you'll be spending a lot of time walking back to the nearest minion gate to replace them. Even with your minion army, smiting and conquering isn't without its dangers, so you'll need to find smelters to forge yourself some better equipment. There's the steel smelter, and a word of advice, if you decide to get this game, don't forge a new set of steel armor. You already have steel armor to begin with. Then there's the durium smelter and the arcanium smelter. The big difference between the metals is how many minion sacrifices they can hold. That's right, you strengthen your equipment by forging living beings into it.
I really don't see how this is going to make the sword any stronger.
Trust in the process, boy. The more minions you throw in, the stronger the equipment. Throwing browns into a sword makes it hit harder, and the reds add fire damage. Greens for a more devastating power strike, and blues for extra knockback. For the armor, browns raise your defense, adding some greens gives you passive health regen, and reds and blues will raise your max health and mana respectively. When upgrading your helmet, it doesn't matter which kind of minion you use, they all go towards raising the cap on your minion horde size. But it takes a lot of minions. I'm talking thousands to get the effect. So now that we're properly equipped, we can start doing some evil, like kicking the Jester, terrorizing the village of Spree, kicking the Jester, kidnapping villagers to work in the tower, kicking the Jester, finding a mistress, kicking the Jester, dumping that mistress for her hotter sister, kicking the Jester, and hunting down the heroes who killed the previous Overlord. Starting with Melvin Underbelly, hero of the halflings, now a gluttonous ball of lard who stole all the food from Spree. Sir William, once a paladin, now consumed by lust, he summoned a succubus queen to the city of Heaven's Peak, who brought with her a plague that turns people into zombies. Oberon Greenhaze, hero of the elves, this tired sloth has fallen into an endless slumber. His nightmares, given physical form and ravage Evernight Forest. Goldo, king of the dwarves, whose unchecked avarice led him to enslave the elves and take all the gold he could possibly find. Jewel, a little wench from the desert, driven by envy. She steals anything she can get her hands on just for the sake of stealing. Khan, a hulking behemoth of a man who's obsessed with Jewel, and once she's captured, Khan, blind with wrath, tears through the land in a violent rampage. And finally, the one known only as the Wizard. Only that's not the Wizard. It's his body, taken over by the soul of the previous Overlord. This old fossil carries too much pride to admit that his reign is over. He reveals there was an eighth hero, one who was wounded and left to die in the depths of the tower, but the minions found him. You're not just going to let this relic of a bygone age waltz in here and take everything you've worked so hard to steal and conquer, are you? Stripped of power and alone, you have to fight off his minions, take back your power, and get the minion hives back for the final battle, using the right minions to break his color-coded shields and bring him to the ground to strike him down once and for all. With no one left to challenge your rule, you are the one and only Overlord, ruling over the terrified masses with an iron fist. But in Gnarl's words, evil always finds a way. I love this game. I love controlling the minions. I love the dark humor.
They're dead. The serious kind of dead. You don't get up and start lurching around.
And I don't have too much to complain about. Even the sewer level isn't that bad here, but there are times when I'm trying to get my minions to break some boxes or open chests when a red locks onto one at a bad angle. He's trying to hit it, but he can't, and no other minion will go after it because someone's already after it. Out in the Golden Hills, there are these gates you need to blow open with bombs. How many bombs do you think it would take to destroy them? 1 or 2 would be reasonable, but you need 4. There is no reason you should need 4 bombs to open 1 gate. Those are either some strong-ass gates or some weak-ass bombs. Then we come to the Ruborian Desert. Here, there are some puzzles that involve luring these blaster bugs to certain places with their larvae and killing them to blow up roadblocks. I like this. It adds an extra wrinkle to the whole bomb thing, and you'll come across these giant man-eating sandworms. So you lead a blaster bug into the sand, the worms eat them, and they get blown the up. The problem here is that it takes 2 bugs to kill 1 worm, which wouldn't be so bad if there weren't so many of them. You can see some treasure over there, but there's a worm in the way. 2 bugs for you, go a bit further and whoop, another worm. So that's 2 more trips back to the blaster bug nest, and then 2 feet away from that last worm, there's another one. That's 6 trips back to the nearest blaster bug nest to clear a path. And then there's a rather narrow walkway with sand on either side, and I've got a pretty wide minion horde that hangs over the side with another 3 worms that I have to kill if I want to get by without worrying about my minions getting munched. Those are the only flaws that I see with this game. Well, that and some subpar voice acting, but this game will always hold a special place in my heart. And guess what? We're not done yet. Normally defeating the old Overlord and cementing your place on the throne would be the end, but there's an expansion called Raising Hell.
go!
With the Raising Hell expansion, a mysterious gate appears outside of Spree after you kill Melvin, and the peasants think it's a gateway to heaven, a way to escape the rule of their Dark Lord. They happily prance through the clouds up to the gate, and then... Now that's more like what I was expecting. You can go in very early in the game, but you can't go very far until you have all the minions.
Well, at least no one burns down my house here.
Here you'll find Melvin in his eternal torment. So much food is laid out before him, he just can't help himself. He eats and eats and eats until he literally explodes. Then he's reincarnated and does it again. Using this to your advantage, you make your way through the Mellow Hills Abyss, play some mini-golf, and break out using Melvin as the ball. Then you take the Abyss Stone to seize control of this section of hell. Over in Heaven's Peak, all the women have gone to hell willingly to get away from the men, so you grab Sir William and use him as a mop and a lawnmower to get close to the women and send them back home, but they don't go without a fight, and they know Kung Fu. Then just grab the Abyss Stone again. Over in Evernight, Oberon and the rest of the elves are forced to watch a play trash-talking the Mother Goddess and reenacting the dwarven invasion of their forest over and over again. But an important prop is broken, so you fix it and play a role in the final act where you set Oberon on fire to get him out of the way of the Abyss Stone. The play was narrated by somebody that Gnarl knows but can't quite remember. In the Golden Hills, civil war has broken out among the dwarves. Down in the Abyss, Goldo was turned into a golden statue, and by using gold to lure the dwarves of the damned to Goldo, they start digging into him, revealing, you guessed it, the Abyss Stone. On your way through, we see the being behind it all, but Gnarl still can't remember who he is. After defeating the old Overlord, a new gate appears in the desert. This one is locked, and the key to open it is the stones from the other abysses. After fighting off an army of wraiths and navigating a dark labyrinth and breaking through the wall that Khan is merged into, you come to a temple where Gnarl finally remembers who we're dealing with. The Forgotten God. Once a widely feared evil deity, he was cursed by the Mother Goddess to be forgotten by all. He's been torturing the corrupted heroes, trying to use their suffering to break the curse, but he made one fatal mistake. He caught the attention of the Overlord. Oh no, that was a load-bearing boss! We gotta move! Jester, what are you doing? Jester, no! He left me trapped here! This must be his revenge for me kicking him in the face at every given opportunity! Had I known he would do this, I'd have kicked him even harder! Damn you, Jester!
I have seen evil masters come and go. Exploded, disintegrated, immolated. Even one time eaten by a giant weasel. But I admit, I had a soft spot for this last one. He may still find a way to escape the infernal abyss, but we may have to find a new master. Well, evil always finds a way.